Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/spookshow. Then go over to morbidlybeautiful.com as we are now part of the Morbidly Beautiful Podcasting Network.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! You vote too! You vote too! You vote too!
Everybody here dies by dawn. Dead by dawn!
Welcome to the Spookshow.
This is not a test. Announcing the commencement of the annual Purge, sanctioned by the U.S. government. Commencing at the siren, any and all crime, including murder, will be legal for 12 continuous hours. Blessed be our new founding fathers and America, a nation reborn. May God be with you all.
Hello and Happy New Year. That's right, at least for us here on the All-American Spook Show. This is our new year. This is because last week we celebrated our 5th anniversary on Halloween, like we always do. That's kind of the time of year where we have to go back and rethink our ratings and stuff like that. So we're done with that. We've shed the last calendar year off of our backs. We're starting anew. We're going straight to the mountaintop here, right, Smoke? We're going straight to the top.
Yeah.
We're going to start the year off right here. This was Will's choice, and of course, that asshole isn't here. And we're going to be talking about the Purge election year from 2016.
That's okay. I've got to get Will. Will wasn't, like I said, this is his choice if he wasn't here, and he doesn't have to necessarily do it, but I'm going to have to get him back by putting maybe I'll choose an Argento film next time around.
I think you should go for the remake of Suspiria or something like that. The bird, what is it? The bird with the crystal plumage, something like that. You know, like really get him good. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I will say this is a fitting choice since we're sitting here on November 6th, the day before Election Day here in the United States. So timing wise, it's a perfect choice. The Purge election year. It'll spark some interesting conversations. I'll say that. As to whether we liked it or not, stick around at the end and find out. Right? That's the tease. That's what we call them. We're experts in the biz. You see, that's what we call it. That's a tease. And we'll also give you our gore score. Donnie will give us his connections from the crypt. All the stuff that we normally do, and I'll give you the highlight kill, all that jazz at the end, along with our ratings. So you want to stick around for that. But before we get into it, and before we go any further, we want to remind you to go to aaspookshow.com. That's the center of the Spook Show universe. From there, you can listen to all of our podcast archives. Go check out our YouTube, where we got lots of monthly series going on over there, including Video Vortex, Grindhouse Gutter, Hammer Horror in Order. Lots of stuff to go check out. And we also publish the podcast over there, so if you would rather pull it up on your desktop or wherever you're listening and listen to us there, you can do that over on our YouTube channel. And, of course, we encourage you to become a patron over at patreon.com/aaspookshow. There, every month, you're guaranteed to get Crapster Piece Theater, which people love to listen to for some reason. We don't like doing it, but people love this shit. It's all the rage. It's all the kids are talking about on the internets, Crapster Piece Theater. So we encourage you to become a patron to listen to that. And, of course, the Library of the Professor video minisodes every month, where you never know what he's going to do. He's going to pull something from the left wing of his or the right wing of his library. He's going to take us on an adventure to Orlando. There's no telling. It's like, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Except there's a little bouncing smoke head. You never know where he might or we might land. So yeah, go to aaspookshow.com. That's where all that can be found. So we'll go ahead and toss to the trailer for the Purge election year.
This July, have your voice be heard.
I purged.
I purged.
Show your support.
I purged because it's my civic duty.
For the Purge.
I purge because staying in is un-American.
This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of the annual Purge.
The soul of our country is at stake.
The senator's going to win. She's going to make real changes.
The purge has to come to an end.
At the Siren, all crime, including murder, will be legal for 12 hours.
Senator, let's begin lockdown.
All emergency services will be suspended. Your government thanks you for your participation.
We're going to use this year's purge to do something about that senator.
We're being hunted.
Go, go, go.
We are on our own.
My God. How did it get to this?
What you doing outside on Purge night, Senator? Come with us.
There are threats everywhere. There's death everywhere.
Y'all need to see this.
We have one goal: survival. Here they come. Run.
I purged to keep my country great.
There you go. That's the latest Purge trailer. Now this,
Yeah, say it like that.
Yeah. I'm going to continue to say that way the rest of the show, just to annoy you, if nothing else. So this is the third of a series. This is a whole franchise, right? The Purge franchise, I guess at this point. There are, to date, let me see, when they were 5. There's 5 movies, and then they actually had a series as well. There was The Purge that came out in June of 2013. That's the original. Then there was the second one, The Purge Anarchy, which came out in July of 2014. Then this one, The Purge Election Year, came out in July 2016. Then 2 years later, The First Purge, which was a prequel to, I guess, the entire franchise, right? That came out in July of 2018. Then in July of 2021, just a little over 2 years ago, The Forever Purge came out. Now, I had seen the first 2, and I hadn't watched any others of this series at that point up until now. This is the first time I've watched this one. Donnie, what about you?
So I had actually, I had started watching this, and then I didn't realize I had already seen this. So yeah, I had seen this previously.
Smoke, what about you?
How about the first? You seen the first 2 as well, though, Donnie?
Yes.
But yeah, for me, I'm kind of the same boat you are, Josh, as far as seeing the first 2, and then this is the first time I've seen this one, and I haven't gone beyond that yet. But and we'll get into our thoughts on it. But I haven't really. I'll start by saying I'm not the biggest fan even of the first 2 Purge movies. I mean, I thought they were okay for what they were, I guess. But I'm not. It's kind of like we talked about Scream. I'm not that big a fan of Scream movies either. So you'll have to take my reviews when it comes to Scream movies or any of the Purge movies so far with that in mind. That I'm not the biggest fan of them out the gate.
Now, I think it's worth talking about right here out on Front Street. Number one, before we go any further, if you've never listened to us before, welcome. But we want to remind you that we are a spoiler-filled podcast, so if for whatever reason you have not seen the Purge election year and you want to, you might want to hit pause here, go check it out, and then come back and listen to the rest of this because we are going to spoil it for you. But what I wanted to get to, kind of get it out of the way right here, is the Purge as a concept. Like, because I think, to me, that's always been the most interesting part of this series. It's not like this is some groundbreaking shit. You know what I mean? It's almost in a lot of ways is kind of more action flick series than it is horror to me. Like, it's more of action with a horror element.
It's got elements, yeah. There's
to
me, there's no suspense, no fright, nothing of any horror substance.
Yeah, it's more of just like an action flick with that, feeling of it. You know, it's a little bit there, and I guess that just comes from like the people wearing masks and acting fucking crazy and stuff, right? That's where most of that horror element would come from.
Oh yeah, true. The action part, right?
Well, yeah,
And
just
for me, it's kind of, well, it might be this movie specifically, but really kind of all of them. I could boil it down to two movies that they remind me of. Various elements of each one of that I've seen of the first three might be more of one of this type of movie or more of the other, but really they kind of remind me a little bit of John Carpenter's Assault on Precinct 13 mixed with Escape from New York a little bit.
Yeah.
But throw in the murder aspect of just, the purging itself. But other than that, the action type elements and things kind of remind me of those types. But for me, done not nearly as well.
And it's interesting too, because I just looked on IMDb, where they always list what genre it falls into. They list this as an action, horror, sci-fi. Now, at first I'm like, sci-fi, what the fuck? But I'm guessing I'm guessing it's just that it's not science, right? But I guess that fiction part of like that, this is a fictional future, right? Like, so I guess that's where they're getting that sci-fi lean from. That like this isn't a real, obviously none of this is real, so it's like a fictional take on future I stopped short of saying apocalyptic future kind of thing, but this is like a fucked up offshoot
dystopian
future. Yeah. So maybe that's where the sci-fi label comes from.
Yeah, and I don't remember, do y'all remember a year that was mentioned? Not maybe in this one, but in the first one even? Because I thought I read somewhere, I didn't read about a year specifically, but I read that it was supposed to be in the near future. So I'm guessing that's why it's sci-fi too, because it's, again, near future. Like Clockwork Orange is called a sci-fi, and it's in the near future, but there's no spaceships or anything, so it takes place in a sort of near possible future.
Now, now I think they do the math just from the first one kind of thing. So this one apparently is supposed to be the year 2040. Because they kind of fast forward a little bit. I'm pretty sure in the very first Purge, they say that it's like the year is 2022 or something like that.
But also
future for the first one.
During that same kind of time jump, Leo does mention his son died just a few years ago.
Yeah, and
which doesn't really play into that whole 18-year.
They do mention as well, though, that like the new founding fathers, or whatever, are kind of celebrating that like this has been their way of life for like the last 20, 25 years. So by this point, it's well established. Like this is just what America is now at this point, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's supposedly, from what I can see in some, some plot descriptions and whatnot, this is supposed to be 2040. Although I don't remember them saying right out. But going back to my point, though, the Purge as a concept, I think, is the most interesting aspect of this series. That America went to such shit in this dystopian future tale, right? That like the only way they could fix it is to let everybody just fucking run amok for what is it, like 12 hours, one night a year. They basically like tell the cops, the hospitals, the ambulances, the fire trucks, they tell them all just fucking don't come out. Whatever's going to happen tonight, let it happen. Murder's on the plate. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do. I think the only rule, there were a couple of ground-based rules that, like in the original at least, where like you couldn't kill elected leaders. Like, like I guess you couldn't go gun for the president or something like that, or senators, all this shit. And then there was the use of high-end explosives. You couldn't use explosives or a certain level of them or something. Otherwise, do whatever the fuck you want. Kill somebody with a machete, machine guns, whatever the fuck. You just couldn't use explosives. What do you think of that as a, not in a real life sense, but just as a premise in these fantastical movies? What do you think about that?
I think it makes a good premise for one movie, maybe. I don't see it. For me, it's not like a. I mean, now it's built in that you can just keep going with sequels. But I think once you've done it once, the only thing is you just do these variations of it. That it's basically you got the same movie each and every time with whatever little twist you add to it.
And
but it's not going to make for a better movie, I don't think.
And that's something that they seem to do. Like each and every time, they keep expanding upon the, the idea. Like we look at it from this aspect and then this aspect, and then you get here in election year, you get the political aspect.
Yeah, well, that not only that, but the idea gets bigger. In the first one, it's literally like, here's the concept of the Purge. One night, a year, this happens. So you're really only paying attention to this one family that's holed up in their house and they're trying to survive the night. That's what that movie's about. Then in the second one, they take that same idea, but now you've got this person that's trying to go from one side of town to the other. You know, so they're trying to get somewhere and they're trying to survive the night out in the wild of this night. Now, this one is the same premise, but add that political aspect to it and make it bigger because the stakes are higher. Not only do they have to get from point A to point B, but they are protecting the future president of the United States, or
a high value asset.
Yeah. And they changed the rule in this movie of you couldn't gun for a person of high stature. You know, you couldn't.
Yeah.
That was the rule. Like, you can't go for a senator or the president or whatever the fuck, right? An elected official. Now you can. They changed the rules all like last minute, right before the Purge night happens in this movie. Like, oh yeah, by the way, you can kill anybody. Have fun, you know.
So I do want to mention, you know, this kind of reminds me of way back in our teens when we decided to backyard wrestle. We changed rules and we tried to do a city limits match, and it's yeah, we tried to move off of the trampoline where I almost broke my neck and into, you know, the city limits match, which never happened.
Yeah, no, we didn't have the means, so that's why. But I think,
good idea though.
Yeah, well,
it's good.
I think in general, though, the concept of the Purge has always been interesting to me. But like Smoke said, it probably isn't worth any more than a movie or two. You know, that's probably where they should have just kind of left it there. Like, because I remember seeing that very first one, I was like, you know, that is fucked up, and you could go a lot of ways with this. But that, you know, and that's another thing too. I will add, and I still haven't seen, you know, the first Purge or the Forever Purge. I think I speak for the rest of you. I don't think either of you said you'd watched it. So
I actually did watch the Forever Purge.
Okay, so
we watched it.
I don't know where
a couple
these things go, but compared to at least to the first two, this one ratchets it up as far as violence. This is more realistic to me in the sense of like, man, if you really had a night like this, if this were a real thing, this would be closer to what it would be depraved. I mean, think about it. If something like this really happened, dude, some high-level fuckery would be afoot. I mean, there'd be people raping and pillaging and burning. I mean, like, it would be even crazier than what you see here. It really would. I mean, it would just be fucking off the rails if something like this were allowed for a night.
Strange things would be afoot at the Circle K.
Yeah, to say the least. I mean, it would be fucking balls to the wall, nutty anarchy if something like that. I don't even think it would be containable, to be quite honest with you. Like, everyone would become, maybe not everyone, but a lot of people would become so bloodthirsty you'd have to put them down just because, you know, like you know what I mean? By like, they'd go nuts. Like, you mean, fuck, I can do anything I want for this amount of time? And then when the alarm sounds, all right, the Purge is over, I'm not stopping, fuck you. And they just keep going, you know, like you'd have to bomb cities to get them to stop. It would be mass chaos.
Yeah, and well, this is probably a good point to interject this here. When we're talking about all these different factions of groups in here killing each other or other people and all this stuff, over the course of all three movies up to this point, because I can only talk about these three, you know, by the time we get to this one, we'll get into the whole political faction of white supremacists, neo-Nazis, and your regular guys and your bloodthirsty foreigners that come over here to...
Yeah. Oh yeah, murder tourists.
Other people on America, the murder tourists they call them. So you got all these different types. But for me, in this movie, the best group, if you want to put it down to a best group, who's the most noble? For me, it would be that group in the alleyway with the swords, fighting each other, Fight Club style.
Yeah,
I mean, they're not out there murdering other people. They're going after each other in like this old school medieval duel. That to me is a noble, noble fighters of this. You know, taking it. Not to purge other people that don't want it, but going against each other in this.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Consensual duel.
I called them in my notes the Thunderdome Gang because it's almost like that. Remember that scene in was it Anchorman or Anchorman 2, where they have the back alley fights between all the anchor groups, and the dude brings out a fucking trident, and another guy has like a 2x4 with like forks sticking out of it and stuff. It's almost like that, you know, like.
Yeah.
Just grab what you can and come fight kind of group, you know. But I think just the concept, in my opinion, is very interesting. It's just that, you know, more than a movie or two is probably too much. You know, like they've already jumped the shark on the idea by this point, and obviously it's just a cash grab.
Yeah.
You know,
I think, like you said, the 2 movies would have been perfect. One movie, claustrophobic, one couple in a house surviving the night. Another movie of what happens on the streets, and that's it. That's really all you needed, really.
Yeah.
They could have just made those 2 and they've been done with it.
Yeah, but like anything, you know, it makes money, so they're gonna keep chugging along, right?
True.
Such is the way of the world.
Yeah.
The only other alternate title, just to get into some of the background information before we get into it, that I could find that I thought was funny was in France. It's known as American Nightmare 3 Elections. It's just, I guess if the other ones are just called American Nightmare, I guess it works. As appropriate as anything. But this was released July 1st, 2016, and it was produced by Platinum Dunes, Blumhouse Productions, and Man in a Tree Productions. Of course, if you've seen this, it's rated R, total runtime of 1 hour and 48 minutes. It's directed and written by James DeMonico, and it stars Frank Grillo as Leo Barnes. Now, he's reprising his role from The Purge Anarchy, the second one that came before this. So like Smoke said a minute ago, this is supposed to be a couple years after that one, I believe. And that one, he's basically just, something happened to his son, or his son died. That's what it was. His son had died in a car accident. He got hit by a drunk driver, and that guy got away with it, essentially. So Leo, Frank Grillo's character in that movie, goes out to get revenge on that guy during Purge night. And then what happens in the movie happens. I don't want to give any deep spoilers there, you know, if you want to go check that movie out. So he's the only one that is the connective thread from that movie to this one, though. Matter of fact, I mean, there's no connections between, other than just the Purge concept, other than Leo, Frank Grillo's character, between these 2 movies or even the first one. They don't have.
And might as well say this here too. Like Frank Grillo, because he was returning for this movie, they decided to make this one a connective tissue, you know, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because they originally wanted to do the first Purge at this point in time, but I guess since Frank Grillo signed back onto it, they're like, okay, well, we'll do a sequel, a third movie, and then we'll come back to the first Purge after that.
They just make it make sense, yeah.
Yeah.
But it also stars Elizabeth Mitchell as Senator Charlie Roan. I know I'm going to screw his name up. McKelty Williamson, is that how you say it? McKelty? He plays Joe Dixon. He's the guy that owns the deli, the store there that, you know, is kind of one of the main plot points of the movie. And the guy that works with or for him, Marcos, is played by J.J. Soria. And really kind of this random character that's kind of thrown in there, in my opinion, is kind of like the neighborhood badass, Lainey Rucker. She's played by Betty Gabriel. And I say that just because it's like there's some kind of story there that we're supposed to know about. Oh, it's the neighborhood badass, you know, and they call her something like you're a legend or something, but like you've never been introduced to her or anything.
See, I didn't know that either. I couldn't remember the first. It's been forever since I'd seen the other 2 movies. That I didn't know if that was somebody I was supposed to have known.
I don't think so. I mean, look, I could be completely. I could be completely dead wrong, and there's something I'm forgetting from the first 2, but I don't think so. I think it's just like, no, we're introducing her, and you're supposed to know she's a badass. So whatever. It also stars Terry Serpico as the name here is funny, Earl Danziger. He's the neo-Nazi guy that's like the head of this mercenary group that's coming after the senator. And then also Edwin Hodge plays Dante Bishop. And then there's a host of others. I mean, really it's just, you know, probably a lot of people you wouldn't recognize, you know, smaller role type people from character actors from other films and stuff. That's really, to me, it's about all that's worth mentioning.
Well, what was the woman's name? The main political candidate woman. I can't remember her name in the movie right now.
Senator Rowan, I believe.
And the actress's name was Elizabeth Mitchell.
Now, in the beginning of the movie, you can see, I don't remember this part, confused over this part. Let's see, you know, when it shows the family, and the Purge is happening however many years back it was.
Yeah, the flashback.
And it's her family, right?
Yeah, I
she's
think it's
the wife.
I think it's 8. I think they said it was 18 years prior. No, she was the daughter.
She's the daughter. Okay, yeah, so that part. See, I wasn't following it close enough there because at first that's what I deduced, but then I was like, at first I was thinking, damn, this the mom. So because this person had a choice to make, because the killers say, you got to choose who lives or whatever. So I'm thinking, damn, if the mom chose herself to live, that's pretty damn messed up.
No, I think I think they essentially gave her Sophie's choice, right? Like, only one of y'all is going to
Yeah.
survive. You pick it. You don't see what happens, but then fast forward 18 years, she's the only one around. So yeah, you deduce. Yeah.
That's the daughter. Okay, so the family, of course, the mom chose the daughter to live.
Yeah.
But yeah, but then that's the only thing you hear. But this is the reason why I was confused over that, because you never hardly hear that. You only hear that one other time, and it's when she's running for office. She says the reason she's running is to put an end to the purge because it killed her family, right? Besides, she was the only one that survived in the family and whatever. But then that's all you hear of that. That's it. After that, it goes. It's almost like she uses that as a political tool to get elected, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you don't hear more of the revenge. Not even when they get into it, when the purge is going on, later on. So I thought that was just weird. It's just this little thing that they stuck in there just for whatever, and then they just don't ever revisit it again.
I guess also they really drill it home, like she's big into like not killing the other guy, because she's put into a position later on to basically kill her political opponent, right? But she's like, no, we can't be like that, because then we're just as bad as them. That whole idea, I guess that all plays into that political aspect of things. You can't stoop to their level, Donnie, was there any other like little side note stuff that you maybe dug out or wanted to point out before we got into it?
McKelty Williamson, we know him probably best from Forrest Gump, where he played Bubba Gump, and some other movies, also Con Air, but so he plays Joe Dixon, who is he owns like a deli, and this is the third movie in which his character kind of befriends the hero, gets shot, and has one last conversation with the hero before dying or being hauled away in an ambulance. And the other two movies, so there's this one, the Purge election year. Yeah. The other two movies are Forrest Gump and Con Air.
Yeah. Well, that's a funny comparison to draw, but it makes sense, acting-wise, because he really is a good, personable actor. Like, if you think about it, he's good in just about everything you ever see him in. But he's not like one of those leading men type guys. He's not somebody you always dwell on. But when you see him in the movie, you're like, oh, yeah, he's good at what he does.
He's one of the character actors.
So it's one of those deals where he's good enough to be personable enough to draw you in as like, you care about this guy.
Exactly. Yes.
And then once you have those big moments, you're like, oh man, no, not him, not old Joe, and he's like that in every movie. You're right.
He also has a great line.
There's a couple great lines.
He says, he's got a couple of great ones, but he's like, he's talking about, I guess, Senator Rowan. He said, she got them little titties, but she got some big ass balls.
That was right after that was one of my other favorite lines of the movies, where that old guy that hangs out in the deli, and they ask him something like, what do you think about it, old Frank, or whatever the fuck the guy's name is? He's like, man, I ain't paying attention. I'm thinking of waffles and pussy. And then they're all just like, ah! And then it's hilarious because they bring it right back up again later on, like, hey, I wonder what old Frank's doing. He's probably just thinking about waffles and pussy. Of all the things to be remembered for, is to be the old waffle and pussy guy. That's the kind of thing I aspire to in life, Smoke.
That's the kind of thing.
Hopefully in my old age, I'm just known as that guy that just says inappropriate shit in a deli.
What's funny too is like this movie's only made in 2016. It wasn't that far back.
No.
But this might come as I don't know, as it's not a political statement, but it's just a fact of life. Like, this type of comedy almost can't exist these days, even in these types of movies. It almost crosses certain borders that offend certain people like that.
Yeah, I think it does, and I think it still can. It's just it plays differently to different people now. Like, it doesn't have the wide mass appeal that it may even have had in 2016. But there's still it's still there. Like. I think if you get too caught up in that shit, Smoke, you can't
like Hollywood's kind of walking away from that a little bit, because I think they're each is just weird. It's just success of each successive year, less and less stuff is acceptable. On a wide spectrum or whatever. So it seems like the way technology goes, the way these movies are going is each little bit of time that goes by exponentially things are getting not canceled, but things are getting. You know what I'm talking about. Things you can't have said a year ago, you can't say now.
Absolutely.
And vice keep going and stuff. It's just weird. It's just funny to me as on a social aspect of watching some of these movies and hearing some of the things that they were saying in 2016 that you can't really say now, or that they wouldn't put in there now in Hollywood movies. You might still hear them in a little bit of independent films and whatnot, but.
And that's actually kind of wild because, I mean, you think of 2016 as just being a few years ago. Meanwhile, here we are, 2023, at the time this is being, recorded, and it's 7 years ago.
I was about to say this is over 7 years ago. So,
jeez.
But a lot has happened over the last, not just 7 years, but just over the last, say, 3 years, with all the COVID stuff and the social stuff that's happened over the last few years. I mean, a lot of things have changed. So, yeah, that does change the environment. It changes the temperature in the room at the least, right? And we have always I think we've always tried to stay, here for our part of it here on the Spook Show, we try to stay fairly out of this kind of shit, because, there's no need. It doesn't matter, like in the grand scheme, you don't want to listen to this for that. So we stay out of it, but it does occasionally rear its head, and we're not blind to that, but, we like to try to keep it as away from that shit as possible because we don't want to be drug into it or out of it, right? So we've always tried to stay at arm's length, I feel, but is what it is.
It's refreshment time, and our refreshment stand is loaded with good things to eat. There's crispy, crunchy popcorn and hot, delicious buttered popcorn, lots of candy, and frosty, refreshing cold drinks. Why not treat yourself at the Refreshment Center now?
For you, the listeners of the All-American Spook Show podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. So I went over to audible.com, typed in The Purge to see what would pop up, or as Donnie likes to say it, The Purge, to see what pops up. And we've got, let's see, good Lord, there's a whole box set. The Purge of Babylon series box set, books 1 through 3, that combined, and now apparently these are Audible exclusives, combined, it's almost 42 hours long. So if that ain't enough for you, we've got The Purge, the Horus Heresy series. What the fuck?
Oof.
That one's a little over 3.5 hours long. And then we've got The Princess Purge by Cordelia K. Castle. That one's just under 12 hours long. So I don't know. That one doesn't look too appetizing to me. But hey, if any of that stuff floats your boat or you know about them, go check them out on audibletrial.com/spookshow. Again, that's audibletrial.com/spookshow for your free audio books. I'm going to hop on back over to imdb.com, click on plot summary to see what pops up. And, oh, Donnie. Oh, we got a couple of long ones here for you, buddy. I'm just going to.
That's what she said.
Yeah. The Purge. We've got the short one. Former Police Sergeant Barnes becomes head of security for Senator Charlie Roan, a presidential candidate targeted for death on Purge night due to her vow to eliminate the Purge. And then we've got, I'm just going to read, there's a couple of longer ones, which is weird, but I'm going to read just one of them. This one was submitted by HJohn-65461 on IMDb. The Purge is a horrific night where all crime, even murder, is allowed so people can let the rage building up inside of them out and cleanse their souls. On March 21st through the 22nd, Charlie Roan was the only one who survived a horrific Purge game that killed her family and vowed to one day eliminate the night for good. 15 years later, she gets her chance by becoming a candidate for the American election and promising the U.S. that the Purge will come to an end. The new founding fathers of America, or the NFFA, saw this as a threat that would compromise their plan of eliminating the poor, who cannot defend themselves on this night, and keeping the population down. They planned to use the Purge to assassinate Charlie, an old sergeant from the Purge Anarchy who nearly made a mistake of purging on the man who killed his son 2 years before this, is the head of the security, and it is his mission to protect Senator Roan from the night so she can live till the election is over. When Purgers force them into the streets of D.C., they struggle to survive the night before the Purge ends at 7 a.m. with the NFFA after them. It's a poorly worded description, but it's an effective description nonetheless. Where should we start?
I guess to kind of set up the, you've got Joe's Deli, which you got Joe and you've got Marcos, the I guess the kind of fairly newly new U.S. citizen within a couple of years. He's a Mexican national, I guess, and he's working with Joe, and you've got I think it's Laney, who
yeah, the one that's supposed to be a badass that it seems like you should know something about, but we know nothing about other than the fact that
right,
supposedly she's a badass.
Yeah, it's almost like like those it's another thing entirely. Let's not go into it here.
It really feels like, before you continue, it really feels like there's like another half of a movie somewhere that we missed, or like, because there's 2 movies prior to this, but they don't really have much to do with this movie. But there's major plot points, I feel like, in this movie that just like you're supposed to know.
You talk about there's another movie missing. What was the movie that you said that they found behind a dumpster? Forget what it was.
Oh God, was
you
it
said
Samurai
yeah.
Cop?
That may have been it. No. I don't know.
Think it was like
it was one of
Samurai Cop or one of those. It was like something we did on the Vortex or something, right?
Yeah,
something
it
like
was
that.
something, but I don't remember what it was. But maybe that was the part.
Yeah,
we were supposed to have some sort of
left it behind the dumpster.
Frame of reference.
Yeah,
to
it just feels
kinda...
like there's some other shit here that's like, oh yeah, you know this. Move on. No,
yeah,
I think I'm talking about that ninja movie that I bought, but we didn't do on the show, where they found it and they had to kind of piece together, put new dub to it and all that stuff, or no?
Maybe
maybe that's
something like
where they didn't have context for it. They had to like basically put what they thought they were being said in the mouths or whatever, and the action that was going in the movie. Maybe that was the one you think of.
Regardless, that's where the rest of the footage is. Apparently,
so you got basically a setting of Joe's Deli, and you've got 2. I guess you could kind of call them like schoolgirls or whatever, but I guess they're like in college or high school or whatever. They come in, they try to steal something. They're basically noticed, and they're not really wanting to give it up.
And you instantly get the vibe like, yeah, they're going to come back. Like, because
exactly,
you already know what the Purge is at this point, right? It's well established over 2 movies. So, like, yeah, they're 2 little dickheads on Purge night acting like this or whatever. They're coming back tonight or whatever, whatever the time frame was, to get their revenge.
Yeah, it's just, it's kind of overacted bullshit, but, it is what it is. So yeah, then ultimately the Purge starts, and the first kill that we see is a guy getting an arrow right through the head.
Oh yeah,
which is great.
Yeah, yeah, and I think by and large you get, and I'm sure we'll get into that smoke with the gore score and everything in a little bit here. That you get blood aplenty here, right? Like, I feel like they really, if you came to see this movie for violence and stuff, I think even more so than the first 2, in my opinion, you get it here. You get plenty of it, and some of it's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, I think they, like as they do with these types of movies, they needed to outdo the one before. So I guess they figured too, if they don't give you that, then they're going to be more complaints, than more than less. So they're going to at least keep it on par or amp it up a little bit as far as the violence.
And to me, like, if you're going to introduce this concept of like, all right, one night a year, this happens, right? It needs to get more violent, because that's what would happen. Like I said earlier, like this night would be so batshit crazy that, it would be the craziest shit you've ever seen in your life if you were witnessing it in real life. So with each movie, it has to be, in a lot of ways, in my opinion, more depraved, more fucked up, because that's the way it would just keep ratcheting up. It would get to a point of no return, right? And I think that's the ultimate point here.
Yeah, and we haven't seen the other, and I don't know if I want to. I guess it's
we will.
Maybe we'll get to them at some point on the show. But yeah, the other one's the first Purge, and I don't know what the names of the other ones are, or how many other ones there even are.
I think it's Purge Anarchy, and then this one, and then it's something else.
No, we already discussed it. It's this one.
Yeah.
Next is the first Purge, and then the last one is the Forever Purge. So we got two more after this.
No.
And then there was a series, which I mentioned briefly. There was a TV series.
Keeps up with those, but I would assume so. You would hope. You would think so, anyways. I don't know at what point they would. I don't know what what pushes an MPAA these days, but I would suppose that they pushed it as far as they could in both of those too.
Yeah. Well, you can accuse these movies of anything, but they're not boring. I'll give you that.
No.
They keep you on your toes as far as, what your expectation should be.
Yeah, I mean, and then, well, I know we're probably not going, blow by blow here, but you do have that assassination attempt on Senator Rowan, which is, I guess, kind of like an inside job.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Leo and Senator Rowan escaping through like the I don't know. I don't want to call it the bat hatch, but it's like it's in there.
He's got like
it's
a little
it's
secret,
like a hatch.
Yeah, he's got a secret door, a little hatch in the floor that
secret compartment
allows her to go down into a closet that leads to a window that he can get her out. It's his backup plan that no one else knew about.
Yeah, and then they're fleeing, and then I guess one of the snipers sees them, and then from the same window that they escaped from, or same room, I guess the sniper shoots Leo, hits him in the shoulder, and what we don't know, what we don't realize is that it's like a tracer bullet, like a tracking bullet. And it lodges in his shoulder.
This is where I feel that this is a little jump the sharky dumb, because like if you have a sniper on a hired mercenary team,
right,
that is there to they're trying to capture her because they want her to be like a sacrificial lamb, right? But they wouldn't care about him. They're trying to kill him. Wouldn't the sniper just plug him right in the fucking head and then go capture her? The end. Why would they bother?
But that's also if he's a real sniper. But also like okay, before the actual team gets there, what do we see on their uniforms? We see a lot of racist symbols.
Yeah.
So what are they first? Are they racist, or are they trained snipers?
I think that one guy at least is obviously the biggest racist on the planet, right? That's at least the way they put every racist symbol known to man on him, right?
He's even got 2 Confederate flags on his shoulder.
Oh yeah, he's like super redneck. Like they make him like this dude is super racist, and then everyone else is just hired mercenaries. But I think to answer your question, I think they're hired mercenaries first, and it just so happens to be that this guy's fucking franken racist, So
franken racist. That's
right.
Yeah.
I mean, like
that's a good one. I like it.
They really.
I mean, I don't like it, but
That's right. You heard it here, folks. He's pro-racism.
God damn it! Fuck.
We got him. Now we can end the show. 5 years. Good night, everybody. But yeah, I think they're mercenaries first, and then everything else second. But I'm just saying, in that instance, why would they bother Spider-Manning his ass? Right? That's what Spider-Man does. Oh no, Doc Ock's getting away. Spider Tracer. That's what they did to him. Like, oh no, he's getting away. Tracer. No, they'd fucking kill his ass, and then they'd go take her and do what they did. Right?
But the credits would roll too soon then.
True,
yeah. But I mean, the whole bullet tracer thing is, if you're a sniper too, you're trying to take them out, somebody, you're trying to kill them. But I mean, if you were trying to put this tracer in them, what is this bullet made out of? I mean, most times you shoot somebody from that distance with a bullet, unless it hits a bone, it's probably going to go straight through.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, there's that.
And then tracer. I mean, this is the stupidest idea for a tracer that ever was, to put one in a bullet. You would think that they had all these internal people inside the house. At any point in time, they probably could have done, they could have done it more clandestinely, like shook his hand or put something here. They could have put a tracking device on him or her at any time, probably without them knowing it, rather than worrying about this bullet, because if they were this trained of a team, they would have to train for knowing that they might escape. She might get out of this house without them getting to her first.
Yeah.
Let me put a tracking device on something that, on her or somewhere.
Yeah, you think they would have already done that. Yeah.
Feasible within a bullet. Yeah.
Yeah.
A tracking bullet.
Smoke, who are you to
They're
question?
so blinded by hate. That's what it is.
Yeah. From Franken racist there. Smoke, who are you to question future 2040 tracing technologies?
I know, right?
Maybe that's what it was.
It was made out of plastic. Maybe it was a plastic bullet. They just it would just go right in the skin and then stop right there.
Really, I mean, we can speed it up by saying essentially the rest of the movie is just them kind of running around the city evading these guys, right? Because they managed to get away. They find they eventually meet up with Joe and the rest of those guys from the deli, and then they kind of help them, like, oh, she's important. She's the hopefully the future president. So we need to get her. We need to deliver the goods, so to speak. We need to get her somewhere where she'll be safe. So they get her to this anti-government group of guys, right? They get her to them, and then they're like, all right, well, y'all are going to watch out for her. Peace out, right? But obviously Frank Grillo's character is sticking with her. And then that kind of goes south, and they have to leave again. And they're pretty quickly dispatched after that. I think they get back up with Laney and the triage van or whatever, right? But then they're literally all it took. I mean, like 45 minutes to an hour of this movie is just them evading everybody, killing everybody in their path. They get away pretty easily. All it takes is for them to get T-boned. They flip the van over, and then they just snatch her out and take her. She's gone. Like it.
Yeah.
It just happens a little too conveniently fast to me, especially how fast she's snatched out of there too. It's like the van flips.
Well, and the only reason they found her was because of the tracer bullet.
Yeah, which I guess that's all the clever plot device. Who directed this again? Joe DeMonico or whatever his name was. Yeah,
Joe DiMaggio. Yeah,
Joe DiMaggio.
I'm just kidding.
James DeMonico.
James DeMonico.
James DeMonico. Yeah. That's the best he could come up with. Is all right. Look, in 2040, they're gonna have these wacky tracer bullets, and then we're gonna spend 45 minutes running around in circles. It was the tracer bullet. That's what did it. So they get her.
Also, though, I thought that they weren't supposed to. Her whole concept, her whole premise is that the triage van is to go around and help people that are still alive.
Yeah, because,
I guess, right?
Yeah, because remember there is no medical.
Ambulance.
Yeah, there's no ambulance, no cops, no fire. There's none of that shit. So,
but why? How come she had carte blanche, so to speak? Because I remember her in the convenience store talking about that. Well, I don't have to worry about that. They don't come after me or something or whatever. I don't remember why.
Like she's protected.
Yeah, but I don't know if they ever explained why.
I guess it's like that. What is that in the Marvel books? The Night Nurse. Like she's the one that kind of helps take care of all the superheroes and shit when they get hurt. So there has to be somebody, right? So
neutral. There has to be Sweden, basically.
Exactly. She's Sweden. Like you can't mess with her because she'll help everybody.
But she was a badass before, right? Because again, though, that's the storyline that we were given, but not shown anything about her being. Apparently,
supposedly,
it was prior purges that she started to become a
that's
nurse.
The legendary Flim Flam or whatever the hell name was.
But I will say that I would say, well, I'll save that. I'll save that for later.
So essentially, they capture her, Senator Owen, to sacrifice her because the founding fathers or whatever, they have the future farmers of America, whatever the hell they have a midnight mass where they purge like as a group. They all get together and purge. So she's one of the prime ones they want to get a hold of. So they don't just kill her; they capture her so they can put her up on the stage in the church or whatever, and sacrifice her as a group. So of course they don't manage to do. I love the biding time thing too. Like, we're gonna purge you in the name of the Father and the Son or whatever the fuck. And he's got the knife up against her throat, and then right at that right moment, the dude is fumbling with his rifle and shit like that, and then manages to pop the guy in the head right before he slices her throat. And then but
he was going so slow. Like if you're just like,
give
you time to shoot me.
I'm going to go so slow as to manage to let that guy that I saw up in the balcony get his gun ready,
future
editing,
farmers of America.
Yeah, they don't know how to shoot. That's where the editing of the film didn't do them any favors, I guess. The way they put that together, it didn't gel quite correctly. But they essentially wipe the guy, they take that guy out, wipe a few others out. They all scatter. So they're able to save her, and then right at that moment, that other anti-government group of guys come in to help save the day or whatever. And then that's when they have their opportunity to take out the competition. They're like, no, we can't stoop to their level. They manage to kind of get out of that jam, and then it's almost like one jam after another at this point, right? Like they just keep finding themselves in a bad spot until eventually Leo has that final throwdown with old Frankenracist there, the neo-Nazi guy. Because you knew there had to be one huge throwdown with that guy, right? So he managed to take that guy down, and that's pretty much it, right? Like after that, like they managed to take down some of the other guys, and they've captured the guy that I guess is like the president or whatever they call him. He's like the leader of that new founding fathers. Because I don't know if they ever, I guess they still hold elections, but like I don't know if someone is actually the president. I'm kind of confused by that. But there's
a different name. I thought there was another name.
Well,
I don't remember what it was, but I don't remember it being president necessarily.
They're just like the new founding fathers, so I guess you're like the leader of that organization if you're a part of that group or something. I don't know exactly what the fuck. But
yeah, I thought it was still elections, but it just seemed like they didn't call the person president. Like there was another title that the person who wins the election is rather than president of the United States.
But I think they did after she won it.
They did.
Yeah,
they did. But also, like the election was held in March.
Yeah,
Why?
No, it was in May. It was like, I don't know. Maybe in this dystopian future, they've just decided to change election day to May. I don't know what the fuck, but yeah,
I'm sure that'll have an effect on sweeps.
Yeah, who knows? Well, November sweeps too. Either way, I don't know. Whatever. But they did mention that though when she won at the end, right? Because like they save her, she survives. It's like 2 months later they hold the election. She wins, so now they say she is the next president of the United States, and her first thing that she has vowed to do is to end the purge, and that's pretty much the way the movie ends. Although they also kind of throw in that doubt, right? Like. The purge she has won, and the purge will now come to an end. Then there's kind of like a glitch in the system. Like there's been protests from the supporters of the new fathers and all this shit, So like it clearly lets you know that like this story ain't over, but for now, it looks like the purge might come to an end, right? So that's kind of where we leave it here. So, and then you get the David Bowie song.
Yes, the one that we heard before in what was it?
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
I can't remember the name of the movie now.
That was you just staring at the credits. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Anyways, there you go. That's
Showgirls, that movie.
Oh God.
That's where we.
Speaking of darkness, yeah, the Showgirls. Jesus.
Well, for those that have listened, have us on Patreon, they've heard it. Well, they might not have heard the song, but they've heard us talk about the movie.
Yeah, and we probably mentioned that too. So there you go. The Purge election year. I think it's a good pick. I think it was a good pick by Will for the date, right? Like tomorrow's election day here in the United States. So timing-wise, it's perfect. But as far as our ratings, we'll see if it's perfect or not. Now, Will's not here to give his 2 cents, but he did give me his rating. And I know you're curious as to what he has to say about this, at least as far as rating-wise, right? He gave it 2. 2 stars from old Willard. So,
I mean,
Donnie, what do you say?
Yeah. So I mean, it's fine. It's entertaining, to an extent, but it's also really fucking annoying too.
Which is what they were going for, didn't you know?
Yeah. So I guess I'm kind of surprised that Will would, I guess not that he would pick it, perhaps, but I guess if you're, I don't know. We've done quite a bit of I guess kind of big releases. Not saying I expected something big, but just at least maybe something that you like a little bit more. That you
Will is the master of the obvious with his picks sometimes. So what he was going for was the election day angle. So that's pretty much it.
All right. Yeah. Well, so and that's also too I guess the horror novice part. Like I said, it's pretty annoying. A few of the kills are actually pretty satisfying. Like when Laney runs over the looter girls, and then comes back and blasts one in the stomach. That little bear or whatever that was in costume, kind of runs over, blasts her, and then the really annoying one who was really overacting her part. She gets a shotgun blast to the face, which I don't think was quite like on par as far as gory enough, but whatever. I also didn't realize I'd already seen it, but I'm not really interested in ever seeing it again. I'm kind of tired of the Purge movies, having already seen, Forever Purge, but kind of trying to be fair to just this. Still yet, I don't think I'm going to go quite as low as Will. I'm gonna go 2.25.
I agree for the most part. I'm gonna say 2.5 because, and I say that just because this isn't as good as the first one, but I think it's better than the second one. That being said, I ratcheted it up just a little bit just because of the reality aspect of like how depraved it kind of becomes in this one. You know, like you see more messed up stuff in this one, which, you know, if you're gonna make a movie like this, let's see some gore and some fucked up stuff, right? If you're gonna do it, let's do it. I ain't saying you got to go like full on Hellraiser levels of, you know, pain and pleasure, you know, that kind of shit. But like, you want to see some, yeah, you want to see some satisfying kills and stuff like that. So you do see some pretty, you know, some like I said earlier, high level fuckery afoot here. So for that, I think it gets an extra half a star out of me. So I'm going to go 2.5 stars. Smoke, what do you say?
Well,
Uh-oh.
I'll say this before. The best thing I liked about the movie was the guys dueling to the death in the alley with swords.
Yeah.
I can get behind that.
That was funny.
That's about the only thing I can get behind this movie. I know we aren't going to go down certain paths in the movie, but I'll just say that the political allegory is like third grade level for me.
Yeah. Well, nobody. I don't think anybody says these are supposed to be the smartest movies, though, right?
No, I think they're written for a certain thing, though, and a certain point in time. At that, let's just say it was 2016 election year, and you can connect the dots.
And wasn't there something too about how they rushed this out because of that? Like,
oh, because it was supposed to be Assassins, right? That what we talked about before?
Yeah, was it supposed to be the original name? But there was something about like they moved up the timing of when this was released or something actually because of that.
Election year. That we should call it election year instead. So I don't know that they rewrote anything based on that or what, but I mean, it definitely has very obvious connections. They're not. You could say, you know, people say, oh, this is subversive or that's subversive. This isn't subversive. It's right there in front and center. Election year. Again, it was 2016, so you got that dichotomy going on. There's probably the most schism between the left and the right, Democrats and Republicans, that you could ever think of at the time would be in 2016. So just right there front and center for you. But for me, I don't like that kind of political, like allegory stuff being right up in the front and center of my movies anyway, regardless of whatever it is. That being said, like I said, the best thing, it does have some gore. Like you said, it's got the violence in there. Satisfying scenes, though, really. Well, Donnie mentioned the one like comeuppance that they had with the they kind of established those girls at the beginning of the movie, right? Whenever in the convenience store and they're trying to shoplift some candy bars, and then the guy confronts them, and then they're like, whatever, I'm gonna yell rape or whatever, and then what's her name comes around, and I can't think of the name, the girl in the triage van,
Lainey,
around the Edie. Yeah, comes around the corner and like confronts them, saying, "You know who I am," and then blah blah. And then the girl knows who she is and respected her before. And then she's like, "Okay, well, give the candy bar back." She gives it back, and then they have an exchange. So you can tell that this is going to be one of the. She's probably going to come back at some point, and she does. And then she's out there on the street whenever they're on the roof. The guy that owned the convenience store, and she's coming back to get her candy bar. Right, she's going to purge him and his whole family or whatever for the candy bar that she was trying to steal. So I mean, then the guy. He shoots at the street or whatever, and like probably should have just like put one through her head right then. I mean, she's on the street. It's purge night.
Yeah, he like took
Steal
her.
Candy bar.
He just grazed her ear or something like that. Now, if you'd have just ended her right there, it probably would have ended it.
Yeah. But it sets up for a much more satisfying. You know, they aren't going to do that, of course, because he's supposed to be a more inspiring. Well, not inspiring. The word he's not supposed to be that kind of person.
Yeah, he has a better moral compass than just a fucking cold blood. Yeah.
And so they set up the better kill later in the triage van, like Donnie had mentioned. So that was interesting. That was a satisfying payoff. You see somebody who, and again, we're not going down certain paths here, but a lot of times in these movies too, you don't see that anymore because that's kind of a, let's just say that's another social thing that people like. Okay, you can't have like the Death Wish type movies because that's, that's problematic or something or whatever. But,
yeah.
So to see something like that set up and then it to be paid off, because at first I thought it wasn't going to pay off. I thought she was just going to either get away with it or she was going to come back and somehow that guy, because he didn't kill her then, that she would be the death of him later. Thankfully that didn't happen and she just got to come up, and again, it was good to see that. So, and the fighting in the alley, like I said, that's the best. But other than that, I'm not going to waste any more breath on it. I'll give it a quarter star.
A quarter star?
Let my ratings speak the volumes.
Everything you just said, and then, oh, yeah, by the way. God damn.
That's rough.
All right. Well, we'll go with it. All right, so that brings the consensus rating from all four of us to 1 3/4 stars for the Purge election year.
I did not expect that after the monologue. That was like, this is why I would be. I did not expect that.
Smoke, you belong. You belong in the Spook
I'll say
Show.
that because I can't say what I really want to say about the movie, so I'll leave it at that.
Fair enough, but just for that, you belong in the Spook Show Hall of Fame, and there's only room for 4 of us, so you got the first spot. So I'll give.
That's awesome.
I'll give you that.
That is awesome.
So, wow. All right. Well, without that kick to the dick past us, Donnie, what you got?
Connections from the crypt.
All right. So if you're just joining us, I mean, for the first time, I mean, what a weird episode to kind of join us on. But, with Crypt Connections, what we do is we connect the current movie episode by any cast or crew. Any cast or crew connections to past Spook Show episodes. So with the Purge election year, we've got on the cast side, we've got Raymond J. Barry. He plays the leader of the Future Farmers of America, leader of the NFFA, Caleb Warrens. And he dates back to when we covered Hellraiser 2, Hell on Earth. And he was also in Nothing But Trouble, which we covered on Crapsterpiece Theater. And also on the crew side, we got Jason Blum, producer. Blumhouse, you see it. As soon as you see it, there's going to be Jason Blum connection on Crypt Connection. So he dates back to when we covered Halloween from 2018, The Green Inferno, Into the Dark Crawlers, Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends, and one of our most recent episodes, The Exorcist Believer from this year.
I see it connecting tissues, all right. In the sucking. No,
calm down there, Smoke. Will is not here to give the kill count, but we have an unofficial kill count from what I could see of 116. So that we're going to go with that for now until Will can give us the more official count, but we'll go there. So let's talk about the kill reel.
Highlight kill.
I'm going to go with the candy girl getting smacked by the car in the alley there, or out in front of the store there. Probably because it's one of your more satisfying kills. Like, you're like, all right, I want to see this motherfucker get it. Bam, she gets it. There's a lot of good ones though. Even like the super Nazi guy, right? That guy getting taken out. That's pretty good. Lots of gore, So Smoke, that's going to lead to you.
Gore score.
Yeah, we've already talked about this being up there, ratcheted up there, as you would expect from a Purge movie, I guess. And it's been a while since I've seen either of the other two ones, so I really can't compare it. Although I think, Josh, you said maybe you'd seen them more recently, and you said that you think this one ratchets up the violence a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't have all the counts in front of me, but I'm pretty sure this one's far more gory than those two, for sure.
Yeah, it's been a while for me, but yeah, you get all blood squibs galore, and there's even a guillotine in one scene. That again, another alley. There's some crazy alleys going on in the Purge world.
Yeah.
I mean, got the sword fight, like I said. You got a guillotine set up that they're executing people.
Literally, yeah. One they had a fucking guillotine that they were executing people, and then there's another one where you had the swinging one, right? Where
pendulum, the
pendulum.
Edgar Allan Poe's the pendulum going on there.
Yeah.
Which that took some doing, man. These people are pretty creative to think that that's gonna. I mean, I guess it would kill somebody that didn't know it was there, but all you got to do is sit there a few seconds and figure out the length of time, as it swings and go by, as they did, So.
Yeah.
But whatever, it was a cool visual and I guess a little nod to Edgar Allan Poe for whatever reason.
Yeah, why not?
Yep. But yeah, so it ratchets up the gore, and I guess that is one positive aspect, like I said, you can say about this movie. I guess I'll go with a 7.
Yeah, I'd say that's more than fair. I wouldn't quite go to the 10 category, but it's it's pretty high. I mean, it's not nonstop blood in the streets kind of thing, but like when you get it, man, you get it pretty well. Yeah. So there's plenty of it to be had here.
And I don't know what the others are. Like I said, I guess at some point we'll maybe get to the other ones. So I'll kind of leave a little bit of room there to see if those ratchet up more. That would be more in the 8 to 9 category. But yeah, I'll keep it at a 7 for now.
Well, things are about to get interesting. If you didn't enjoy this one, I'm not sure, but boy, I don't know where things go from here. But it's going to be interesting the next couple of weeks because we finally come back to cannon fodder next week. And like we have said before, now the way we do this is we have all the canon movies on a wheel. We spin it, and whatever it lands on, that's what we're doing. So we're completely at the mercy of the wheel. And God, I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I don't know. Man. I ain't got high hopes. It landed on The Frog Prince from 1986. Now I think this was supposed to be like Cannon's. They called them like Cannon's movie tales. So it was like their attempt to kind of appeal to the kids, like to have a kid-friendly level of movies from Cannon. So
yeah, it's basically what I garner from it is it's like a live action, with a like the Frog Prince is a guy with heavy prosthetics on.
all I can tell you is from this, it's got Helen Hunt in it. Now, that I guess that's mixed results, right? They're going to be good or bad, but she's the only name I think anyone would really recognize from this thing. So we'll see. We will see. But then after that, on November 20th, it's going to be our Thanksgiving celebration episode. We always have a Thanksgiving pick around that time of year. So it's my choice, and my only criteria was that I had to pick an older one. So without further ado, I'm going to reveal what we're going to be watching on that date, and that is The Granny from 1995. That's right.
I forgot.
That is my Thanksgiving gift to you guys because I want to give thanks to you guys for being here in the Spook Show and everything. So we're going to watch The Granny.
I had forgotten that you'd pick this movie.
Yep.
Me too.
God.
What was
it?
95?
Yeah, 1995.
Yeah, I think it was 97.
No, it was 95. It's straight to video.
Was it 95?
95 straight to video release. So good times will be had by all. That's going to be our Thanksgiving treat. Now there is a chance. I'm not gonna quite marry us to it yet, but there might be a chance we could at least squeeze out a bonus episode that week for when Eli Roth's Thanksgiving comes out. We had talked about maybe trying to squeeze that in somewhere. So there might, I say might, be a bonus episode of our take on Thanksgiving when that comes out, because I believe that comes out November 17th. So hopefully we get a chance to check that out, and we'll give our 2 cents on that one. And hopefully all these things will be better than the Purge election night, right, Smoke?
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
I'm still shocked at
somehow
that rating,
we found Smoke's new floor. It really caught me off guard. I didn't expect it.
Yeah,
well, like I said, I'm not a big fan of either of the other Purge movies either. It's just this one is even less in my ball field because it's going to have all the allegory and stuff going on.
Well, look, you don't have to answer to us. You have to answer to God. All right, talk to you later.
No, you just have to answer to Franken racist.
Yeah, Franken racist. And no, you
look at Night of the Living Dead or something like that, and some of these people could take cues on how these movies were done in the 60s and 70s and 80s, and maybe not be so heavy-handed. That's all I.
Well, I'll give you that. There's subtlety is not one of their strong suits here. That's for sure. Really, at the end of the day, though, Smoke, you only have to answer to yourself next year on the 6th anniversary when we come back around to this, and maybe you'll think about it some more. But we won't give you Suspiria level shit, or will we? Only the next year we'll be able to tell the tale. So we'll see. All right, that's enough.
Lower than a quarter of a star.
Yeah, I doubt it. That's pretty. I mean, really, how? Honestly, I mean, It's almost impossible.
I gotta look at the fractions. I'm not that great at fractions, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not that good at the math. Well, anyways, all right, that's enough. So for Will, who couldn't be with us, Donnie, Professor Smoke, I'm Josh. We are the All-American Spook Show, and join us next week for our next cannon fodder, The Frog Prince.
As you leave the theater, folks, please be careful. Don't let this happen to your car. Be sure to remove the speaker before you leave. If you should accidentally pull a speaker loose, please turn it in at our snack bar or box office. Thank you.